There's two stories in the Bible where we meet Jesus and his disciples in a storm. Mark chapter 4, verses 35 to 40. The second one is Mark chapter 6, verses 47 to 51. Mark chapter 4 starts by saying, verses 35, and when evening had come. Watch this, my brothers and my sisters. Jesus had spent the whole day with his disciples. So many miracles on that day. So many had been healed on that day. Jesus had done everything to prove to his disciples that he was fully God, that he was able. And the disciples were, in fact, not paying attention to everything Jesus was doing. Why do I say that? The scripture starts by saying, when evening had come. Because now it was evening time and it was time for test to see if indeed their faith was anchored in Jesus Christ. Let me help you to understand, my friends, that every scripture that you read, every sermon you listen to, every experience you go through life, it's supposed to build your faith in Jesus Christ so that when evening comes, you are able to withstand the test. We're told in the scripture that the tempest arose, and these were experienced fishermen. They thought they could deal with this storm, but this was a different storm. And just when they thought the ship was going to sink, the servant of the Lord tells us that they finally remember that Jesus was in the boat. They approach Jesus, Master, carest thou not that we perish? Notice, if you will, what Jesus does. Immediately, Jesus does not talk to them. He looks at the wind, he looks at the storm, and he talks to the wind. He talks to the storm. He talks to the water with a language that they could understand. And he says, peace, be still. Soon after that, he turns to his disciples and he says, where is your faith? I thought throughout our journey, you had built your faith in me, but clearly you have no faith. Now let's move to the second one, Mark chapter 6, verses 47 to 51. Now, again, when evening had come, Jesus this time did not go into the ship with them. They went on their own. But the scripture tells us that he had gone to the mountains to pray for them. And then a tempest arose, this time on their own. And we're told that Jesus comes while in the middle of the storm. But notice, if you will, unlike the first experience, Jesus does not talk to the wind, does not talk to the storm. He talks to them. Says, do not be afraid. It is I. Listen to me, my brothers and my sisters. When I read this, it finally dawned on me that sometimes Jesus does not calm the storm for the child. Sometimes he calms the child for the storm. While you are in pain, while you're struggling, while you're suffering, Jesus decides not to calm the storm, but instead calms you as your child. As I went through these two stories, it finally dawned on me that life is about storms. Life is about storms. In life, we always occupy three positions in relationship to the storm. Position number one, in life, it's either you are in a storm. There's somebody right now who is in a storm. Somebody has lost their loved ones. Somebody has been diagnosed with COVID-19. Somebody is on a ventilator. Somebody is in pain. That's position number one. That's the position where Jesus comes in and talks to you, even with the ravishing storm. Position number 2, if you're not in a storm, you are living a storm. There's somebody right now who is walking out of hospital. There's somebody right now who is walking out of financial crisis, and they're giving God praise and say, to God be the glory. That's position number 2. Position number 3, if you're not in a storm or living a storm, guess what? You are heading towards a storm. There's a storm brewing. There's a storm coming your way, because life, my friends, is about storms. But I like the words of the songwriter who says, what have I to dread? What have I to fear? Leaning on the everlasting arms. Nginge sabani, saying, okuthula okuhle. Yama, leaning on the everlasting arms. My friend, if ever there is a time, you and me ought to consider getting as close as we can to Jesus. It is now. Whether you're in a storm, whether you're leaving a storm, whether you're heading towards a storm, our only hope, friends, our only hope is Jesus. I'm Beke Mabuza. Thank you for watching, and God bless.